Hello, I'm so excited. I have such an amazing guest joining us today. Can I just say I'm having a little bit of that excitement that comes when we're going to have a conversation that I know is going to flip your thinking and give you something that can maybe be the very idea you need to get your idea out there in the world. I've heard people say, "Is there really any original ideas left?" I think there are. And my guest today is going to talk a little bit about how science and probably a little bit of art comes together to help us activate and generate innovative ideas. And whether you end up transforming that into a book or a program or maybe even a movement,
Mhm.
my guess is you've got an idea that's lingering, stalling, taking up a little brain space. Let's see if we can bring it to life today. My name is Melanie Benson. I am the host of the Growth Fuel channel, and I am so thrilled to have this show. Like, I'm having the most amazing conversations. I've been telling everybody, I'm getting so excited every time I get to have a conversation here. I'm also the host of the Top 1% Amplify Your Success podcast. So if you're listening to this conversation later, just know you can get in live with us when we do these conversations and meet the guests over on my Substack Growth Fuel channel. Now, let me introduce you to this amazing woman. Her name is Sara Connell. She is a 5-time best-selling author. Wowza. And she's the founder of Thought Leader Media, where she helps coaches, experts, and entrepreneurs scale impact and create 6 to 7 figures by becoming best-selling authors and also in-demand TEDx speakers. So if that's been on your radar, you've been thinking about doing a TEDx talk, this all is good juice and fodder for that as well. So, Sara, thank you for joining me for this conversation today. I got to be a guest on your channel not too long ago,
I
so I feel so blessed to
know.
have part 2 of the conversation.
I'm really excited because I felt like we could have gone on for 4 hours, and now we get to have, another conversation with your incredible community here. I'm so happy to see all of you that are on live with us, and hello to all of you watching later. It's we kind of had a little bit of a love fest right away when we got introduced.
Yeah, well, that's again like one of the beautiful things that moves these kinds of opportunities from an idea into reality is the power of being in the right room and, saying yes to connections that are being made. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. um, I want to talk a little bit about something that I hear that comes up for people, and they kind of have this idea that brews, that simmers, that maybe is taking up real estate in their mind. And maybe they start wondering or second guessing themselves, like, is this something that I should be moving out into the world? How do we know it's worth turning it into a book, a program, or a movement, or all of it?
It's such a good question, right? Because we have something like tens of thousands of thoughts every day, right? That's just, like that's what the data is. I've heard 35,000, I've heard, less, but the point is it's a lot. It's a freaking lot. And not all of them are divinely inspired or, ones that we want to like turn into, we've all had that moment of, there was a Saturday Night Live sketch. I don't know if you were ever an SNL person, Melanie, but there was a sketch years ago called Bad Idea Jeans. And I love it so much because it's basically like this group of guys sitting around. They're like, what would be great is if and then they fill in the blank and everyone's like, yeah. And then the text says, bad idea jeans. And so it's kind of funny from that standpoint of we get ideas, are they good ideas? But I even want to step back, if we could, just one step from how do we know something is worth running with, and really talk about the the way to discern, like, or to access the ideas that are going to turn into something. And so we'll get in later to, brain states, and we can nerd out on all of it. But the main thing I like to think about is our rational mind can come up with lots of good stuff. We've read the books, we're smart people, we've trained in different programs and things. And so we sit around and brainstorm or, make ideas. We could get some good stuff, right? But when I think about like a singular, unique creative idea, something I call a download, right? And so not downloading from the computers and AI, but downloading from our own genius and our own, imaginal brain or from source. Um, when we think about that, it's there's a different tenor, and this will answer both questions, Melanie, yours, and also the idea of, how do we access those? Because I'm just wondering, can we play for real with you? Like,
Sure.
what lets you know when you've gotten one of those downloads? Like a, you know,
Well, I mean, usually it's something that won't leave me alone.
okay.
And, so in human design, I am a manifester, so my spark works a little differently than other types,
Mm,
but for me, like, I get a spark, and because I have an emotional authority, I kinda have to let it ride its wave, but then I if it doesn't go away and it keeps coming back and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, I'm like, "Okay, time to clear the decks and make space for it."
yes. So there's a persistence, like it kind of gets
Mhm.
you and it's not going to let you go. And so I love that. And everyone who's tuning into this, you'll have a different answer. But the brain science question is called what lets me know? And the reason I want to start there is because that'll answer the question of what should we run with and what should we not. So Melanie, for you, you know that if you sit with it and it kind of keeps coming back, it keeps tapping you. Elizabeth Gilbert calls it like the big magic. If that's going on, it sort of lets you know something's happening here that's special, right?
Yeah, it's almost like I'm accessing some truth or something
Mm.
bigger than me that's meant to come through.
Right, and that's again how what lets us know is the brain. It's a whole brain question is what it's called. And if we ask the same question of what lets me know I'm afraid or what lets me know I feel love, we would get
Mhm.
we usually have somatic responses to those things, like there's a feeling, and then there's also usually an emotion, right? And then there's some information, which for you described all through. Some part of you says, yeah, that rings true. There's some truth, and it also won't let you go. And so how do we know something's worth going? You know, Melanie, that if it keeps coming up, it's probably there's some meat to it. And for each of you listening, that's your homework, right? You're going to ask yourself, what lets me know when I've had one of these ideas that did turn into something great? Sometimes people get chills, or they feel like they're going to cry, or we feel like sort of a it bypasses the intellect. It's like a mystical experience. Like suddenly we just think, I just know this is my answer. There's just a sense of peace, like I just know. So whatever your answer is to that question, that's how we know. Now that doesn't mean just because we have what I call resonance that it's an idea we want to turn into a business, or then I bring in after the right brain work of downloading, I do go to my left brain and I think maybe I want to do a focus group. Maybe I want to do some market research. If I'm talking about like a business idea, I may not just go out right then and, launch the business and pay for all the, all the stuff. I might get some feedback, and ask some people that would be ideal for this. Do you want to do this? And get some. So I marry the right and left brain. But what's so cool is that we can train our brains to get more of those good downloads, like the
Mhm.
juicy ones, the ones that do turn into a book or a movement or a business or a podcast or a talk.
Ooh, I am intrigued now. I didn't even know we were gonna get to talk about that. I wanna just to take a second and connect with, those of you who are listening live, and if you are aware of how you get your best downloads or your best ideas, drop it in the chat. We wanna hear, like, in real time, like, what is your awareness process? Okay, so you just opened the door, Sarah. I feel like we should step through it. There's a process to creating these ideas, and maybe it's a little bit of science, or maybe I don't know. I'm gonna turn the mic over to you. How does that
Yeah.
work?
So I did get obsessed about this, right? And I did because I've been teaching, people, writing my own books, teaching people to write books and do TED Talks for 15 plus years. And and so much of the time we worry that everyone's already done our idea. Someone's already done it, someone's already written this book, someone's already given that talk, whatever. And of course, we do have the snowflake effect. Like we're all unique and no one can ever write the book that you can write and give the talk that you can give. And we want to have those original creative thoughts that come from beyond the rational mind. And so let's get into the science. So one thing that's really cool is that when we put our brain in state, and I'll do a real simple, like 1 minute, little crash course on this. We need to get our brains in the ideal state to even get downloads. So I have researched this for the last 2 years, pretty in depth with a lot of neuroscientists and physicists and different people that specialize in these type of research studies. And essentially, what happens is that most of the human brain operates its cycles in hertz. Just a little science lesson from delta, which is like when we're in deep REM sleep. It's the slowest brain cycle that humans cycle in that's been measured. Okay. So if we all went in a lab during like I did a sleep study, when you're in deep REM sleep, in those delta waves, then you are I was just fixing because I know we're glitching a little and I just makes me crazy, but thanks everybody for for sticking with it. So when we're in delta, we're deep sleep, REM sleep, and our brain cycles at the slowest measured hertz. And then we go up into theta, which is like deep, deep meditation. If anyone does like hypnosis on, meditation tracks and things, that's you're going into theta. Alpha is like your nervous system's regulated, you're really calm, you're in a deep relaxed state. And then beta is what we spend almost all of our time in if we're not thinking about it when we're awake. We are getting stuff done, we're thinking, we're checking things off the list, we're worrying, we're obsessing, we're doing things. That's beta, and most of us spend all of our time there. And we don't get downloads, very good downloads in beta. And there is a gamma state, which is what longtime meditators and they've done research, the Dalai Lama and monks that are training with him, and they'll produce a lot of gamma waves. So I got really interested in is, can we train like mere mortals, if we're not Tibetan monks, can we train our brains to go into what scientists call the genius zone, which is alpha, theta, a little bit of gamma. And I found that we absolutely can in a few minutes a day, not doing anything outside of our normal routine. While walking, while doing other routine tasks, we can actually put our brains in this state, and the downloads come in alpha, theta, gamma. That's when we're gonna get the goodies. And so many of us, of course, we sit around and think, "I've been trying to solve this problem. I've been trying to make this decision. I've talked to people. I've thought about it. I've talked to ChatGPT, like, I don't know what to do, or I don't know my next big idea." And it's just we're not on the right channel, to be really cliched about it. We're not on that right frequency, but I didn't want to just hear like frequency, right? I'm more swoo than woo. I want the science and the energy piece. So just to give a little Stanford research, researchers took a group of professionals and they tasked them with needing to come up with creative and innovative ideas. And Stanford has its own metrics for what counts as creative and innovative. And they had this group sit around, smart people, brainstorming, coming up with ideas in around a table, and they measured the output. They sent the same group of people out on a walk. And the people, when they walked, same group, same individuals, generated 60% more creative and innovative ideas. 60% is a lot. It's not like 10, 20, 60. It's just a lot higher. And what happens is that when we move and we put ourselves in what researchers call soft fascination, that's like the name, that's not the brainwave state, just soft fascination is all you need to remember. When we get into soft fascination, our brain is cycling in those other brain waves, and we can just get the better ideas. And so it could be as simple as those of you that take a walk or like to move, you swim, dance, whatever, you might do, that alone is going to change your brain state, but only if you don't jam your signal with input. That's the tricky part, because most of us go on a walk and we listen to a podcast, or we tune into a Substack, we call a friend or a team member, we listen to music, we do, and that's all wonderful. But if for a few minutes at the beginning of that walk, you just create a white space, you'll start to get some really good downloads.
This is rich. So rich. And this is probably why when I go for a walk, I get so many downloads.
We just
and
do it
like I
naturally,
have
right?
to bring my phone to capture them, or
Don't
else
you?
they're gone by the time I get
You're like,
home.
I gotta capture them. Or the shower. People get shower downloads.
Yes.
That's a really popular thing. But think about soft fascination. You're washing your hair, whatever, loofah, I don't know what everybody, whatever your routine is in the shower. But there's warm water, usually there's a repetitive sound. You are in that state of soft fascination. So if you have a body that doesn't enable you to physically run or walk or swim or anything, you can use the shower, you can stare at a fire, like a fireplace. even this is wild, and I'm going to do this in my TEDx talk in November. You can even visualize going on the walk and get downloads.
Mm, mm, I
It's
love
really
that.
wild.
Yeah. I want to go deeper into this for a second because I'm going to ask the question that all of our listeners who get millions of ideas are probably starting to process. How do I know which ones to move forward
Yeah.
and which ones are just an idea that I need to let pass through?
Oh, it's so good, right? It's just like, oh, which ones? Okay, so one, Melanie, I think your example earlier was so good of, does it keep coming up? Is it this
Mhm.
repetitive? And then sometimes even a not great idea does do that, right? Though I've had it where just it keeps like, you should do this, you should do this. So I want everyone to think about next time this is where we discern the download, right? This is the discernment process. Which ones are the ones to go with? So one thing I like to do um is feel in my body where it lands. So when an idea is really high in my head, it's all like up here. Sometimes those are not my best. Those are not the
Mm.
ones to run with. There's maybe a little bit of an obsessive loop. It's just kind of it's very sometimes it's again my rational mind says this is a good idea. You should do this. But I pay attention like what's happening below the neck. Like do I have any like resonance in my heart? Does it feel like, oh, do I feel in my body a sense of calling, like in my gut or my solar plexus? Like I just try to feel if I can get some somatic body cues because usually my big downloads that are worth going with do not only cycle up here. Is that true for you, Melanie?
Yeah, and I love that because I think many of us, we try to make it practical and logical. The idea is like we're starting to use our brain
Yeah,
to activate it rather than that full body resonance with the idea.
right.
And,
So that's one.
again, if you follow human design, there's a center in our body that will be our truth energy. But
Yeah,
yes, like it's so much more than the thought
yeah.
and the rumination of what can I do with it?
Completely. And then what I do is I actually do a download walk. That's just what I call these now. I was like, I'm going on a download walk. If I'm up against a challenge in my business or something, I was like, going on a download walk. If I want to think of the next article I'm going to write, go on the download walk. We can download for little things, big things. But I actually go on a download walk just for clarity if this is a good idea. So literally that's my
Mm,
intention. So the way to stimulate gamma is through love
mm,
desire. So if you're like, I desire to know if this is a good idea to take forward. So I'll do the whole walk simply asking that question and just being present. And sometimes then the intuition really kicks in and there's just this knowing. It's like, this is my destiny. Does anyone ever do you have those? It's like destiny moments. You're like, I'm
mhm.
supposed to do that, but not in a should way, like up here, but in a, oh God, yeah, I think this is mine to do.
Yeah, it's almost like if we allow, I don't remember the words you used for it, but if we allow ourselves to be a channel for source, whatever that looks like for
Mhm.
you, and okay, so I'm apparently going to be saying yes to this, right? It's like this is bigger than just me. This is something that I'm meant to be a channel to move out into the world. And again, like our ego mind, our logical mind wants to lock onto things that maybe are practical or monetizable or whatever,
Yes.
but there's something different about something bigger than us,
Yes.
moving an idea into us as the vessel to activate.
It's exciting. I don't know how anyone else feels, but when I get a real download, one that I just know I can feel in my body that there's resonance, I feel honored. It's like, ooh, it's kind of magic. It's like, I know I didn't just think of it, right? It came,
Mhm.
like you said, it's a sense of something coming from something bigger coming through us. And then what's really fun is to I had a woman I interviewed for the book. She was in Project Stargate in the CIA. Okay, so she is a psychic spy essentially, right? Her name is Angela Ford. She's amazing, and when you're in the military or government, you get assigned, right? You get a next assignment. And so with those big downloads, I feel like that's what it's like. Like you said, it's like
Mm.
this is your next assignment from the universe, from source. And it's like, oh, like I wasn't going to write this book. I wasn't going to write a book about downloads. I was like, it wasn't anywhere on my radar. And in fact, the really ridiculous, Melanie. I feel like this is something you would have laughed at too. It was a very meta experience because I was teaching a group of our clients. Take a group internationally every year. So group of thought leaders, we went to Italy that year. And I was teaching them this technique for 90-day goals. And it's a brain science based technique to get clear on and achieve 90-day goals. And one of the things you do, it's like, people have done versions of this. I'm sure it's like, I'm so grateful and happy now that I have, and you read your goal in the present tense, that's a piece of it. And then there's a few other steps. So every day I was writing, I'm so grateful and happy now I've downloaded my next book idea because I wanted to get an assignment. I wanted to know what to write next. And I used that term because we were using it in our community. I got to download, it was just a way that we, and I think lots of people, sometimes refer to those ideas that come from beyond our regular thought. So I'm writing and it's like day 80 of 90 and I got nothing. But I knew it was like, I could feel something trying to emerge and reveal itself. And I'm on a walk, trudging along, and I just keep getting download book. And I was sort of having this dialogue, going, yeah, I would like to download the book idea. Like I've been saying for 80, I would really appreciate it. I'm available, and it was like download book. And it took the whole walk for me to think, wait, really? And I texted a friend. So this is the next step I would offer to someone. If you have someone beloved in your life that will just tell the truth, and you get an idea that you think is one of those really big destiny downloads, sometimes you check it out with someone. I don't mean to outsource our power and, delegate our responsibility for our own decisions, but maybe just, we check in. And I texted a friend. I said, this is weird, right? This is too silly, like a book about downloads. And she just wrote back, I'd read it. And she said, I want to read that book. And so suddenly it kind of went through my body differently. And so we can sometimes, if we have a trusted friend, a business bestie, a mentor, something like that, and just not that we're letting them decide, but just, getting some feedback can be useful in discerning if this is, and again, if it's a big thing, we're going to invest a lot of money or time, then doing some interest form, doing a poll, getting some, again, not giving our power away, but just saying, is there something here?
Yeah, I love that. I feel like we need to bring AI into this conversation today. There's as we're having this conversation in real time, there's a lot happening in the AI world. Some of it good, some of it's controversial, right? There's all kinds of things. But one of the things that I hear a lot about is feeling conflicted about how to use AI to either A, process out these creative ideas that are flowing, or B, to write a book. And I just would love to have an exploration of the role that you see AI playing in a powerful way in bringing through the download into reality.
It's such a good one. And I'm sure if we had this conversation in 3 weeks, it'll even be different. Like this is, like you said, we're in this moment in time. And I just led our mastermind group today for like a strategy day before this. And this was a huge topic of conversation because a couple of people are just starting their books or starting a next book. And what's the role? And so just a couple logistical things for everyone. At the time of us having this conversation, AI is being screened here on Substack. Content is being screened for AI. Books, there was a huge scandal, if you will, in about 3 weeks ago in the book world because it was a book that had gotten an enormous, like a $2 million advance. And the agents, the literary agents, not the AI agents, the literary agents pulled the book, gave up their commissions, and yanked it because they discovered the author had, just basically AI had actually written the book. And all the manuscripts that go through traditional publishing right now, my new one that's coming out in October, all went through and it's not perfect software. It's like plagiarism software. Like sometimes it's not right, but my book came back 100% human. So I was very excited and, relieved that the software didn't, scan something that I wrote and say it was AI. But just that's a logistical piece for people to understand. Depending on where you're going to publish your work, you will need to keep those rules in mind, at least as they stand now. You aren't today permitted at traditional publishing in a book to have AI write your book. If you want to do a lead gen book, pop it on Amazon yourself, you can do whatever you want. They don't care. There's lots of articles about it. But you can't do that for other, and in Substack, they're screening all the articles now, right? And you're, getting, so it's just, there are some logistical pieces to this that about where you're going to publish and if AI even is allowed, to do the writing for you. Now, I also am not a Luddite. I'm all about like, let's explore. There's what's the both and kind of option here. And so I think that that there's so many gifts of AI in terms of creative partnership and expediting content creation. I think there's some really wonderful things. My personal choice is not to have AI write my books or my Substack articles, or create any videos for me. Like that's just a personal choice as a creator right now that I'm making. However, I have written multiple sections of multiple books while walking, while driving, while picking, something, like doing dishes or whatever because of AI, because I can set, record on the AI. And instead of having a really horrible transcription that I have to go spend as much time as it would have taken to write it from scratch, cleaning up, the AI can be doing that for me. I just am very clear about what I tell it it's allowed to do. So I say, you can't edit me. You're not my editor. You can't do any M dashes, no junky AI ready. Do not put adverbs like quietly anywhere in this. Do not add things. Like I boss it around and I let it know the deal. And I give our clients all the, the sort of what I call like the safe prompts in my way, meaning safe from losing our soul in the process and losing our voice. And that's the real danger, is that the sameness epidemic, because there's just so you will see it in marketing too. It's like we all can recognize, authored by Claude. Like you can tell, right? If it's pretty much cut and pasted. So I think for me, again, there's rules depending on where we publish that are in place at the moment, could change. And also the MIT study where they had people write essays and then have the writing evaluated blindly. The evaluators labeled the AI written pieces soulless, and they didn't know who wrote. It was blind review. So I think that's just something to keep in mind. Like a gentleman called me this week who I spoke to a group of financial advisors on downloads and training our brains for unique ideas and innovation. And he called me after. He said, "I do not want to make this call." And I thought, "Oh God, what's going on?" And he said, "I did write my book with AI. I mean, basically, I had AI write my book." And he said, "And I thought it would work out fine because I fed it my podcast interviews and my transcripts and my stuff." And he said, "I hate it. I'm not going to publish it. I don't want it." And I said, it's because it doesn't have a heartbeat
Mm.
anymore. And so it's the overuse, I think, is really what at this minute we get to look at and be responsible around. It's the over reliance on. And the brain atrophy studies we can get into if you want to are terrifying, to the point I'm actually using it less for some stuff than I was, just because of what's coming out in the last couple months. But I'm not anti-AI. I'm all about like, let's use the best of it. But it can create a darn good transcript when you're, you know, voicing your article or your book. Do you use it for like to get your drafts?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. Well, I mean, we use it in a few ways. It's always been a tool for me.
Yeah.
First of all, if you have a podcast, 98% of podcast hosts are using AI to pull the transcripts and convert it into something that's easy to kind of skim and read, right? Like that's an easy way to do it. Substack makes that super easy here. We use it in a few ways. Like we use it it's a productivity tool. I use it to kind of flesh out ideas sometimes, but then I end up rewriting most of it.
Sure.
And I think that's what most people do. Or I think that a lot of people do that, I should say.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say though, and I think this is a really valuable distinction, and I'm curious for those people listening in, where you are at with AI and creating thought leadership, is that when you over outsource the creative process versus you use it as a tool to maybe kind of clean it up or shape the idea because you're struggling to articulate something. Anyway, that's kind of a little bit of what I notice.
I love this, Melanie, and I think just to like add some, again, back to some science, because I do love the data and the things. There was a study done in Poland, I think it was end of last year, and they took 4 medical clinics, doctors who were doing cancer screenings and things, and that was their job. These were seasoned MDs. These were people that had been practicing medicine for 30 years in many cases, and they started to use AI for, to read the film, radiology reports, and things like that. Like almost everyone in medicine is, I don't know anyone in hospitals not doing it. And after 3 months, it was somewhere, let's just say months. Okay. I have to go back and read the study again, but after a amount of months, it wasn't years. It wasn't even 6 months. It was after a portion of months. Um, they, their skills at being able to read the screening film declined by 20%.
Mm,
These are people who have been doing this for decades.
mhm,
And so I just think it's a little bit of the even just the, are we putting good content? I mean, that's its own whole conversation, which is important. But even just for our own, like, use it or lose it kind of stuff, it's just, and again, where do we use it? To your point of, to make a podcast transcription and pull show notes and set up a Claude skill that then puts that all into head. I mean, Substack is doing it brilliantly for us here, just without us even asking, which, thank you again, Substack. I love you and forever be grateful. But like, that to me is a great way to use it. And even just for like crafting emails,
mhm,
I'm all about that. I'm like, I tell it again, not to sound, I trained it so it doesn't do AI gross writing, but it's really nice for me to just prepare a response to a client or a team member while I'm walking around my house cleaning something up, and then just have it sent. I mean, that's a wonderful, like, 30 minutes that I have back. Or taking a transcript from a client session and creating a report and a roadmap that would have taken me 2 hours that could take 10 minutes, that's still just
mhm.
as good. Like, I am I am euphorically happy with that. It's just like, what are, again, back to the discernment of, my son's algebra teacher last year, to the kids, was saying, "Why? Try, then AI." So that
Yeah.
was her, like, ask, "Why are we doing the task? Is it to automate something that doesn't really, like, need my brain? Then woohoo, here you go. If it's a creative or strategic exercise, what if I try it on my own, download it first, then, I'll start partner with the AI, or flesh it out, or expedite it, or automate it, or create a system, or whatever else could be great." So I think that's, for me, where I am at the moment.
Mm. I love it. Yeah, I think again, we're gonna see so much evolution in this area. I mean, every platform is making new decisions regularly, how AI is accepted, how it's monitored, you know, and everybody has a preference. But I love that we're creating this discernment between outsourcing all of your creativity and leveraging your time and being productive, right? And using it as a partner. So good. We have to talk about your book, Sarah.
Yes, I've got
Your
the little,
book.
here's what it looks
Oh,
like. There's the cover. They're just getting
exciting.
printed now, 'cause it comes out October 6th. So,
I
yes.
love it. So good. So tell us about the book
Yep.
and, how people can find it and when they can, well, so I guess that October 6th is when they can get it.
Yes, but it's, because we're all how we are, and we don't like to wait. I don't like to wait for things. We do, yeah, because since it's on pre-order now, we have some little, like, early things. Like, if people pre-order, they, you get access to some pieces of the book in this download method. But the point of the book is really train your brain, unlock your genius, create miracles. That's
Mhm,
the subtitle of the book. And I'll just break that down. Train your brain, we've talked a little bit about here, right? We've talked about understanding what state we want to put our brain in to access those, whether it's clarity, an affirmation, a sign, a breakthrough, all the way up to, like, you need a health miracle or a financial miracle. There's times when, like, stuff's going on in our lives, and we need a miracle.
mhm,
And so I wanted to study that. Like, is there any science behind that? Can we train our brains for that? And then, unlock genius. That's, we talked about the genius zone, alpha, theta waves, gamma waves. Like, how do we more consistently put our brain in that state instead of being high beta, rational, logical, like, stuff like we talked about. Okay. And the miracles part, can sound kind of cheesy and like, oh, miracles. But I don't know. This is so wild. A friend of mine went to India, and she went to, like, a month long, and this is just by way of why I wanted to include this in the book. She went there, and she said the first thing at this particular meditation center that they were tasked with is they all had to go spend a day, contemplating the miracles that had happened in their life, plural. So it wasn't like the way I got taught in Catholic school. Like miracles were for saints who, walked on water, produced, saw the Virgin Mary on a hill, or, had the stigmata bleeding out of their hands. I mean, this is the kind of like, the intense stuff that you're teaching kids if any of you grew up in certain religions. But in this tradition, it was like everyone's had miracles, right? Whatever,
Mhm.
however we want to define that. In the dictionary, it would say, a sudden welcome act that seemed of divine ordinance, right? Something beyond your human capability. And so I wanted to get into, because I think these downloads are miracles. Like that ideas can come to me that I'm not thinking of on my own, is and signs and help and breakthroughs, like that's incredible to me. That is miraculous. So that's why I
Mhm.
want to study the science of it. So the book is about the science of these downloads, the science of original creative thinking. It's about the future of thought leadership, and it's much more importantly how to do it. Right? There's a 4-step download method that I kind of combined all this research into, that we can do again while walking, while in the shower, while driving, like things we can do every day, have it stacked, that don't take time and don't take money, that will help us actually get the clarity, the breakthrough, the idea. And Melanie, something that just jumped back in, that we talked about, how do we tell something's like a really great download that we want to run with? Another really wacky thing, that if anyone just, if you feel like you've heard all this already, you're kind of like, I already do this. Yay. Well, here's a little fun game. So let's say you get a download, you get a creative download, you're on your walk or in the shower, and you just think, I think this is a good idea, but I don't know for sure. My body's saying yes. I still don't know. You can also download signs. So if any, are you a signs
Mm.
person, Melanie? Like, do you feel like if you hear a certain song, like tell me a little about signs for you?
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, I'm not a big sign person,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's like it's the activator, right?
Mhm.
So it's the signal, if you will, that
Right.
something's needing pursuit, or that there's a meaning behind something else going on. So I think it like reinforces things for me.
So me too. And right, like I'm not gonna, put all I'm not gonna give my whole power away to like, did I see the number 1111 today or something? Like I'm not,
Yeah.
but I love a good sign. I just
Mhm.
love when so to me, it's part of that call and response. Like you get your download and you have this new business idea or an idea for a book, or think you got the right decision. And then you can download that day for the sign. And so and when you create a code with the universe, it's like sometimes I have, this is so insane, but there's that Fleetwood Mac song called Go Your Own Way. I don't know if
Yes.
it's, been around. It's not like a song that's played a lot of places right now because it's an old song. But I tell you, I hear that song very specifically when I'm at a choice point and I'm kind of going, do I take the expected path, or am I going to go on this little bit unexpected rogue, whatever. And when I hear that song, when I'm in a moment like that, I feel something go through my body. It's like I suddenly just start, I kind of smile, I want to cry at the same time. And I just go, oh yeah, I'm doing the thing. I'm going to do that thing.
I love
And it's
that.
just my code. Some people have a certain, they see a feather, they see a particular kind of bird, they see a certain number. Like you can make your code with the universe however you want. But I just offer that in case, if anyone's like, I get a lot of downloads and I still have trouble, which ones are the really good ones? It's like, try that. Download for like I'm going to download a sign today that really lets me know without a shadow of a doubt this is a yes.
As you're talking, I realized for me, it's a series of patterns. Like I'm a pattern
Uh-huh.
discoverer. So I look for the patterns of how many things are showing up that kind of reveal the pattern. And one of the things that typically happens is we end up having the deer in my backyard. So I know a lot of people aren't crazy
Yes.
about deer in their backyard, but I love it. It feels like
Yes.
that's part of my magical pattern. It's like,
Yes.
oh, okay. All right. I'm noticing. Thank you. So nature oftentimes is one of those signs.
Big time. Sometimes people see like a particular constellation at a certain
Mhm,
time, and it's like, so I love that. You just know the deer for you is the magic, right? That's what we're
mhm,
talking about. Life is magical when we let it be. And so this the book, in the download, like you train your brain and your kind of your system to be able to have more of these, have more consistent downloads, have more high quality, like you said, which are the ones we really want to do something with. And then this last part's really important, the courage to do something with them.
mhm.
Because sometimes our downloads scare us. Like we get a download for like a really big thing or a new thing or a go this way when I thought I was going this way. And it's uncomfortable. And so we can also download for courage, right? We can say, okay, really today I'm going to do this download walk and serve it. Like give me the courage to do something with this. If I once I know and I've had the signs and I've had the somatic response and I've had this like give me the courage to take action on it because it's sometimes fun just to my friend calls it eat the menu. And we it's not really fun, but it's sort of like you get so excited about the download without you haven't done anything with it. It's just like so yummy because it's a vision and it's all pristine and perfect because until we do something with it, it's not like the messy first draft or the thing we tried and didn't work out or whatever. But it's sometimes we can just want to look at the menu, eat the menu instead of like have the real food. And so
Mhm.
we can download for that too.
I love that. Yeah, I think for me, one of the things that happens is sometimes I'm given the download of something that feels so much bigger than I feel capable of, or I know how to move out into the world yet, especially if we're talking about movement earlier. Like when you're here to lead a movement and you know this book or this download or this idea is part of something so much bigger than you, but it's meant to be a transformative impact on the planet, you might want to download the sign or the capacity or the
Yes,
next step, right? And sometimes
completely.
that's what I notice is it's about calling into clarity what is mine to do, and if this is mine to do, what's the next piece that I'm meant to do to move this forward? And you don't have to know how it all looks, but you
Yeah.
do need to partner with something bigger than you to find that courage. That I just love you brought that into the conversation earlier.
And to your point, Melanie, like, and just download the next step. Like, that's what I'll often
Mhm.
do because the idea, like you said, "Oh, go lead this movement." It's like, "Oh, okay." And there's that beautiful phrase, like, "God doesn't call the qualified, God qualifies the called." And
Yes.
that brings me so much peace when I get a biggie that I think is way beyond my capability, way beyond my skill set, way beyond my capacity, way beyond anything. And that's when it's like, oh, I'm going to be qualified. I'm going to become we already are. We would never get a download for something that we don't have the capability to do, but we don't think we do because we're sort of seduced into our own limitations. And so that's why we get that download. It's going to
Hmm.
stretch us. It's going to just it's going to stretch
Yep.
and that's I think what our souls are here for it. They're just like, that's what we came here for, even though our ego is like, "No, please, can I stay in my lane and do the thing that I'm good at and I already know works, and please don't make me do something scary and big."
Or do.
But we
Because
really
I
do
don't know
have it.
about you, but that's what I'm here for. The
We
scarier,
love
the
it.
bigger. Yeah, it's all
What
about.
what else are we playing for? I always do that thing of it's out of Stanford's also positive intelligence work, and, you can ask the you at the end of your life, "What was important about this?" That's like a technique they do, right? You're
Mm,
kind of the future self or whatever, and my future self has never once been like, "You know what I want you to do? I want you to play as small as possible. I want you to make everyone else comfortable. I want you to just dumb yourself and box yourself in and never ever take a risk and don't grow." I mean, never ever ever is that the answer, right? And at the end of my life, I'm going to want to know I left it all on the field.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be running laps after this conversation, Sarah. I'm so inspired.
We're all gonna go on
I
a
love
download
it.
walk, right?
Yes,
And I'll
we're gonna
put
go on a
Melanie, thank
download
you
walk.
for asking. I'll put the Amazon link. The book's available on Amazon
Oh,
if
thank
anyone
you.
does what, and then you can message me on Substack, like, just I got it, and then our team will send you all the goodies. You'll get your how to do your next download in 24 hours, just so that you've got the kind of step by step with the science behind it. You have a tracker that's brain science based because that'll start really making this a habit and your brain is just going to start doing it more and more and more for
Mhm.
you. You'll just start really being more of your time will be in the download brain state than in the beta,
I love
brain state.
it. Yes, so we will make sure if you're listening to this later that all of these links, as well as Sarah's Substack, is hooked up for you because I'm going to go download the book and I want to keep having a conversation about what's happening in this book. And I think let's rally around this extraordinary being who is inspiring us to say yes to those ideas that maybe feel a little scary, but they're meant to be brought out in the world. They're meant to transform in the world. The more
So
you are in the right room and the right conversations and the right communities, this is the kind of magic that happens. Sarah, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, I got one last step for you in a second, but well, actually, I'll ask you now. If we could leave our community with an actionable step, the
Mhm,
homework, as you like to call it, what is the one thing that they can do right now?
mhm. Yeah. So let's just go ahead and make real what we talked about in this conversation. I would just offer everyone to go on a 5-minute download walk today. And
Mm,
if your body doesn't allow you to walk again, you can imagine the walk, because the scientists and the it's we are absolutely able to envision the walk if your environment or your body isn't allowing that at the moment. And so just 5 minutes, and before you go in, right, to the download space, remembering we're going to stimulate gamma brain state with desire. What do I want? Really, how often do we even let ourselves ask that? What do I really want right now? So it's like, I want clarity on this decision. I want my next big idea. I want to know just the next step in this really scary big thing that I've been thinking about. Just give me the next step, or who could help me? Download the who to your
mm,
how, right? Your who not how person. Okay, and then just, but remember, no podcast, no music, no, just white space for a couple minutes and just see what happens.
mm. And then let us know. Circle back. Join us in the conversation inside of Growth Fuel. I'll post this amazing conversation and tell us what kicked in for you. This has been such an extraordinary conversation, and I feel honored to continue to bring amazing guests. So if you are new to me and the Growth Fuel channel, please let's stay connected. Give me a little shout out. Let me know what was the aha from today. Let's subscribe or follow each other here, whatever feels right for you. And if you're listening on Amplify Your Success later, please hit the subscribe button wherever you enjoy listening so you don't miss out on these extraordinary conversations. And hey, come join us on Growth Fuel so you can do these live with us. Sarah, thank you. I just love this so much. And thank you all for joining us live, everybody who joined in the conversation with us. And I can't wait to hear what the big ideas that you download are. Sarah, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Have fun downloading, everybody.